Today I will be running down a war thriller drama film titled Recon. Please be advised that there will be spoilers ahead of this video, so chill out and enjoy it as I narrate it for you. The movie opens with an Allied soldier shooting a Nazi officer. Sergeant Reese also shoots the woman in the head as soon as she runs to meet the dead German. The sergeant's actions confused the other soldiers since the woman was unarmed. Corporal Marson then experienced a flashback of what had just happened. Just a few steps forward, the group encounters a man riding a horse. Sergeant Reese orders him to stop the carriage before ordering two of his men to inspect the cart to see if it has weapons or any contraband. A Nazi soldier appears out of nowhere and shoots the two soldiers, then Corporal Marson also takes him down. The moment an unarmed woman runs to her sweetheart, Sergeant Reese shoots her in the head after looking around, claiming that she's also a Nazi like her boyfriend. After the incident, the group carries their fallen comrades to the camp. Ash points out that it's not right that a woman should be killed because of her loyalty to her boyfriend, so he's prepared to report the incident to the battalion commander. But Sergeant Reese takes himself first to the captain and reports the incident, claiming the woman's death was the result of a crossfire between them and the Nazi soldiers. Corporal Marson and Ash overhear everything as he twists the facts. The commander scolds him for the incident and orders him to go back to the field to collect more intelligence reports. We see Corporal Marson sitting quietly in the car, looking at his daughter's picture, as his colleague, Joyner, meets him. Joyner tries to start a conversation about the crossfire incident as the sergeant described it, but Marson keeps silent about it because all he wants is peace between him and his superior. Shortly after, Sergeant Reese regroups his soldiers back in the field. The squad embarks on the mission as they walk down the road, talking about each one's experience in the army. Ash suddenly opens the topic, asking how simple it is for some people to kill unarmed civilians. He also emphasizes that it is worse to remain silent in the face of injustice. Ash tells Marson that they have to do something, otherwise, they will be guilty as Sergeant Reese. Ash becomes agitated when Heisman starts to make fun of him, and the sergeant tells them to stop it. However, the two chose not to listen to him, and as a result, they had to be disciplined by doing push-ups. They soon come across an elderly man who is pulling the wheels. The platoon swiftly stopped him to examine his cart. Sergeant Reese talks to him, but the old man only speaks Italian. However, he tries his level best to communicate with them, saying that he's not an enemy. When Reese asks him about the Germans, the old man says that he saw them in the mountains. With that, Sergeant asked the man to guide them if what he said was the truth. Scared of the consequences, the man agreed to direct them. Reese then orders Marson to take 3 men with him, but fails to hear him out when he tries to point out that there could be a number of Nazi soldiers. Marson has no alternative but to obey the orders, so he chooses for him Ash, Heisman, and Joyner to go with him in the mountains. Ash is too talkative, so he brings back the woman's incident. He believes that Sergeant Reese has selected the 4 of them for this ambiguous mission because he is aware that they may report his conduct to the superiors. This causes Joyner and Heisman to argue, but Corporal Marson tells them that their duty is to report everything they find on the opposite side of the mountains, so he advises them to stop wasting time on pointless fights. Abruptly, the old guy speaks in Italian, which Heisman understands. He says the old man wants them to die choking in their own blood. Joyner tries to attack the old man, but Marson intervenes to stop him. The platoon comes to a bridge shortly after, and they dispute whether or not to go forward. Joyner thinks Oldman is leading them into enemy traps. Eventually they agreed to cross, but they ordered the elderly man to cross first. When the 4 soldiers realized that the old guy had made it across without any shots being fired, they followed him. Just after crossing the bridge, Heisman steps on a landmine and gets fatally injured. The group tries to take care of his wounds, but he dies soon after. Then, Joyner accuses the elderly man of killing Heisman. Marson calms him down and orders them to relocate because the explosion would draw the Germans' attention. Marson learns the old man's name is Angelo, and he was also a serviceman in the First World War as a captain. The group spots a soldier in the Allied uniform in the distance, and they run to him. Only to find out too late that he died of a sniper's precise headshot. Just after this, Marson makes it clear to his comrades that this is a suicide mission, so they have to be careful. Joyner still doubts the old man. He believes that Angelo is just pretending that he doesn't know anything, but he's certain that Angelo knows something and is leading them toward the Nazi traps. Marson, though, brushes it aside and orders them to move on. The corporal gets assurance from Angelo that they're not too far from the Germans. Once the group encounters a mountain wolf, Joyner gets scared and raises his gun, but Marson stops him from pulling the trigger. When someone shoots at them out of the blue, everyone is stunned and takes cover. Marson checks on his men after a while. Luckily, nobody was shot or injured. The group rises slowly and keeps moving through the woods. Marson finds another body shortly after, but it's a German soldier. The three consider the scenario that either the Germans are fleeing from them or they are unaware of their presence. Ash informs them that he has made up his mind to report their sergeant's insubordination to the captain, and he's ready to testify against him in court-martial. Then Marson says he will go with him, but first they have a mission to do. Joyner reminds Ash that the woman's lover killed 2 of their comrades. However, Ash makes it clear that the woman was innocent and unarmed. Joyner pushes it back to Ash, saying that she was a Nazi and that they despise Jews like him. Then Ash also calls him a Nazi. This makes Joyner furious, and he gets up to fight Ash. However, Marson halts and pushes him aside. Later, as they keep going, Joyner abruptly stays behind and removes his uniform. He starts vigorously clawing his arm until it gets injured. Returning to assist him, Ash helps him up while Marson covers for them. Joyner asserts that they must leave the freezing mountain. Ash reassures him that they will return to camp right after achieving their goal. Despite Joyner's claim that he wants to go home, Marson insists on his orders. They have to finish the mission. The 3 soldiers and Angelo eventually arrive at the place. The German troops are in control of Angelo's village, torturing and killing the residents. After seeing how vicious the Germans are, Joyner asks Ash whether he will still report the sergeant to their superior. But Ash is committed, and his position still stands. Joyner starts to think that the Germans are killing those who aren't submissive enough to them. But Angelo barges in and asserts that they're defenseless people. After observing the German movements with weaponry, Marson is convinced that they could be preparing to attack their camp, so he orders them to return to camp as quickly as possible. Sadly, a sniper shoots Ash in the stomach as they are retreating. The 3 swiftly take cover in the woods. Marson orders Ash to stop reaching for his weapon because the sniper will shoot him again as soon as he sees that he is still alive. Joyner asks Marson to cover him so he can attend to Ash's wound. When Ash starts to lose consciousness, Joyner drugs him to relieve the pain. After bandaging the wound, Ash informs Joyner that he can't walk and doesn't feel his legs. Joyner tries to lift his spirits by saying that he'll feel them again when his blood circulation returns to normal. Marson observes Ash's condition and concludes that he needs immediate medical attention. They move forward as Joyner carries Ash on his shoulders, but after some distance, Joyner gets tired, and they have to take a little break. Then Joyner comes up with an idea while staring at the dead German soldier. The deceased German was bound to the tree and clothed in an Allied army uniform as a decoy to bring the sharpshooter down. Marson tells Joyner to go with Ash and Angelo to lead him on the way, but for him, he chooses to stay to take out the German sniper. Joyner is carrying Ash to move ahead with Angelo while they rest. Joyner swears he will shoot Angelo first before shooting the Nazi if he ever betrays him. However, Angelo tells Joyner that he must trust him because he's also a victim of the war. But Joyner is adamant that he would never do so. Then he offers Angelo some water, but he turns it down and turns back to eat snow instead. Marson, he's still standing guard over the corpse, waiting for the sniper to surface. All of a sudden, he sees the deceased woman standing. Then he starts having flashbacks of the sergeant shooting the woman. After passing out from exhaustion, a gunshot shocks Marson back to consciousness. Then a sniper emerges from the woods, walking towards the body. Marson grabs his gun and aims it, but is hesitant to pull the trigger. But in the end, he finds courage and does it. Marson realizes the sharpshooter is not a German soldier but an Italian thief. He became frustrated and then threw the kid's gun away while shouting aloud. Marson joined his comrades shortly after. Joyner first asked him whether he was able to take down the sniper, to which he replied affirmatively. But later, he informs Joyner that the sniper was an Italian thief. Joyner, who is also shocked, learns that the Germans pay the Italians for each Allied soldier they kill. When they get to the base, Joyner learns that Ash is not breathing, so he hurriedly brings him to the truck, requesting medical attention. Regretfully, the medic declares that Ash is already dead. An irate Joyner assaults the physician. Fortunately, the captain shows up and orders his men to stop his actions. He orders his men to search Angelo before asking Marson about what happened in the field. He tells the captain that Sergeant Reese killed an innocent woman, whom he lied about dying in the crossfire. To Marson's dismay, he is informed that Sergeant Reese got shot in the throat by the sniper, therefore, this information is no longer relevant. Marson informs the captain that the Germans are planning to attack their camp, so they should prepare their defensive lines before it's too late. The officers find a military map with Angelo, and then the captain gives Marson the order to execute him. Marson disputes the captain's orders by saying that Angelo supported them throughout. He can't be a spy. However, the commander makes note of the fact that Angelo was using them to scout for the Germans. Marson takes Angelo to the river, where he intends to put him to death. However, with Ash's fresh memory, the innocent woman and the Italian thief, Marson, don't want to squeeze the trigger. Following his prayer for him, Angelo curses Marcin to make him angry enough to pull the rope, but Marcin shoots in the air, forgiving him. Before he changes his mind, he gives him the command to leave and escape. Marcin collapses to his knees in despair. Not long afterward, Joyner follows him, asking for Angelo's whereabouts. Marcin tells him that an old person like Angelo can't do anything to change the course of the war. Then Marcin tells Joyner that Ash was correct all along. They were cursed the moment Sergeant Reese killed an innocent woman, and they are now responsible for her death. Joyner leaves Marcin after realizing that he's traumatized and needs some time alone. Moments later, Marcin helped himself to stand up and start to walk back towards the camp. As the closing voiceover states, 6 months later, Corporal Marcin was gravely wounded, and a German soldier who was sick and weary of the war proved to be Marcin's savior, surrendering as he carried the injured American to safety across the Allied lines. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to watch more of my videos. Have a good day.